Forward head posture, otherwise known as FHP, is an epidemic that is growing by large numbers. This, of course, is caused by sitting in front of screens for a long period of time. I'm joined on the line by Dr. Delgado, who's going to explain to us a little bit more about this condition and how it is that you can avoid it. Dr. Delgado, thank you so much for joining us. I'm just going to kick off with the first question. Could you explain to us what is FHP and how does it develop?
FHP stands for forward head posture. So basically it means that we start to round our shoulders and our head goes forward, more forward than it should be. And it develops because of lifestyle stresses on the spine. For example, the amount of time we spend sitting at desks, the amount of stress that we have, our sedentary lifestyles. A lot of us are deficient in movement on a day-to-day basis. And as your head goes forward, the pull of gravity increases. And that's why it can cause strain on the spine and the nerves that are related to your spine.
How does these sort of practices of sitting down all the time impact someone's everyday or their overall being?
It's actually amazing how much it can impact. Sitting not only creates issues with spinal health, but it creates issues with how your brain functions. Movement of the body charges your brain like a battery. So when we sit all day, our brains become deficient in that nutrient that keeps it charged. And the brain runs the body. So you can imagine the impact that it has. It can affect our hormone levels, it can affect our immune system, it can affect our concentration. So sitting, a lot of people understand the relationship between sitting and pain, but it goes a lot further than that because of the relationship between your spine, the nervous system, and the rest of the body.
So I read there was a statistics that said that FHP could cause at least like 30% less capacity of your lung usage. And how is that possible? I find that statistic quite alarming in a sense.
So your lungs can only expand as much as the ribs allow them to. So what I mean by that is if your ribs are in the incorrect position, your lungs will not be able to expand to their optimum level. So if you think of somebody that's slumped over, that's going to close up the rib cage and then the lungs won't be able to expand. So you find people with forward head posture don't have great lung capacity, and then you can imagine sitting at a desk all day, we're in that closed up position. It's not only going to affect your lung function, it can affect the function of the other organs as well that sit in your chest and your abdomen. And then you have the pull of gravity, which strains the spine, the muscles of the spine. So it really affects the performance of how your body works.
All right. And so, I mean, it would seem that this has obviously a reoccurring impact on the body. How is it that someone could maybe counter these impacts from sitting down in their everyday life?
I'd say there's a couple of directions. One of the major ones is to get up very often. So I tell most of my patients to get up every 45 minutes for at least 5 to 10 minutes as a break. So move as much as possible. Make sure that your desk is set up correctly, ergonomically. Make sure that you're doing range of motion exercises so you're keeping movement in the spine. Make sure that you're doing strengthening exercises so the muscles can support the spine. And then probably most importantly is to get your spine and posture checked, because often poor posture is your body's adaptation to a structural problem going on in the spine. And if that's not addressed, the cause of the problem is going to get worse while we try and treat the symptoms. So getting it checked to find out what the cause of the issue is and then making those small lifestyle changes.
All right. Well, Dr. Delgado, can you tell us, has there been a growth in the number of people who've come to you with these kind of problems? And in South Africa particularly, are we finding a growth in this epidemic?
Basically, any country that's industrialized, we see growth in it. So it's definitely getting worse, and I would say the most alarming is that it's getting worse in children. So where I used to see it only in adults and people in the middle age part of their lives, now we're seeing it in 6-year-olds. So it's affecting people younger and younger, and I think with the advent of technology and smartphones and tablets and generally the way technology is going, I think it might get worse unless we really educate people on how important this is.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Delgado, can you let us know how it is that we can find out more about this this epidemic, and how it is that we can get tips on how to improve ourselves daily in order to avoid this kind of thing?
There's a lot of good stuff on the internet. You can do Google searches, but of course there's also some not such good stuff on the internet. I'd say get in front of a professional that specializes in posture and ask their advice. Get assessed first to find out if anything's going on, and then ask that professional's advice, and then put it into your daily life so that it becomes a habit. And if your posture is healthier, your brain will work better, and then everything works better. So there's a lot of benefit to putting this at the forefront of your mind on a daily basis.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Delgado, and also telling us a little bit more about FHP.
Okay, thank you so much.